Is this a huge hit on Westbrook's legacy?
It's a devastating blow. It's a devastating blow. And I'm Max and Will, I'm just going to put on my reporter's hat here. It's not just about my opinion. It's about the things that have been said to me. When Kevin Durant first left OKC, and I got on Kevin Durant for, going to Golden State, many of his supporters, some of them in Hollywood, others in the hip-hop community and beyond, you can use your imagination and imagine who they were. We're talking about, come on, man, he was never going to win with Russell Westbrook. He knew that because Russell Westbrook is that alpha dog. He wants to be the man, et cetera, et cetera. And nobody would ever question Russell Westbrook's ability. Nobody would ever question his effort. What they would question most is his decision-making, and that's going to come up at the most inopportune of times and work against anybody that plays with him. So what has happened since Kevin Durant has left OKC? OKC has not made it past the first round. Has Russell Westbrook lost to the Golden State Warriors? No, he has not. Never faced them. He lost to a Houston team without Chris Paul. He lost to a Utah team led by a rookie. And last night he lost to Damian Lillard. Those are the 3 years. In those three, in all of his games where you've got closeout games, Russell Westbrook has averaged 37 shots, for crying out loud. Damn near that. And has shot about 41% from the field. This is what's going on. What did we see last night? Russell Westbrook was valiant. So was Paul George. Okay? What happens in the waning moments? Your two stars getting a combined $65 million for this season alone have a 15-point lead with 7:12 left. They've got an 8-point lead with a little over 3 minutes left. They lose that lead. Yes, Paul George missed a couple of free throw shots that he should have made, even though he hit a big-time pull-up jumper, to put them up to 115, 113. But you've got the ball. Portland is definitely going to get the last shot. That's why Stotts called for Damian Lillard to drive into the lane and score so he could do a 2-for-1. Russell Westbrook has the ball. He's shooting in the 30 percentile. Paul George has the hot hand. Paul George has been balling. He's got 36 points already. He just hit a shot a few seconds earlier. What does Russell Westbrook do? He calls his own number as opposed to getting the ball to Paul George. These are the kind of things that people, fair or unfair, look at Russell Westbrook and say, we're going to be talking about him as one of the elite talents that we have ever seen. And that motor at 100 miles per hour, never cheating you with effort, always a marquee, always acting like a marquee, which is a compliment. But at the end of the day, it goes back to what Magic Johnson, and obviously to a lesser degree myself, brought up back in 2012 when they had lost the game to Miami in the finals. And Russell Westbrook, I believe, Max, he had like 44 or 48. It was one or the other. I believe it was game 3 or 4. And Magic Johnson called it one of the worst games he had ever seen from a point guard, because even though he was scoring points, his decision-making had compromised the success of that team. And these are the kind of things that are going to rear its ugly head now, particularly when Kyrie, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, now Damian Lillard are all in the league and balling. They're going to look at Russell Westbrook and say the decision-making is why he gets criticized. And he did nothing to help himself in this series in that regard.
I don't think it's a devastating blow to Westbrook's legacy, because what legacy are we talking about? His legacy as of right now is as one of the great action sports figures we've ever seen in American history, an all-effort guy who nevertheless is not a champion. And maybe sometimes because of the effort, like it's too much effort. Even though in a sport like basketball, the harder you try, usually the better you do, as opposed to like baseball or golf or something. It's more like football or a sport like that in the sense that you pull harder, you do better. He's pulling so hard all the time, maybe he needs to ease up a little bit. So that's already his legacy. You build a legacy from nothing to something. I don't know that his legacy's here and now it takes a devastating hit. It's that the legacy he's building is what it is. And what is that legacy? Well, take a guy like Dwayne Wade, Stephen A. Dwayne Wade's a combo backcourt player, really a combo guard, couldn't shoot. Westbrook is not a combo guard, but a point guard who's a number one option or a score-first point guard, modern days style. Also not a great shooter, better than Wade actually in a lot of seasons from outside. And who would you say is more talented? I don't think you could say Wade is more talented than Westbrook. And Wade, even before he got with LeBron, won the championship with an old Shaq, still a really good Shaq, but not a prime Shaq anymore. Won the chip by having the best final series since Jordan at that time over a really good Dallas club with a prime Dirk Nowitzki. Westbrook hadn't done that, in spite of the fact that he's played with KD and Harden and Ibaka and Oladipo and Paul George and Steven Adams and a host of other really good players, great players and good players. He has not done it. And why hasn't he done it? Because in the moment of truth, and we saw it, Game 7 at Oracle versus Golden State, the same Golden State team that lost to the Cavs at Oracle in the very next series, he's pulling so hard that he can't relax in those moments. And I think your point about decision-making is related to that. The same thing that has me loving Russell Westbrook as a player. My favorite player, I think, is the thing that's stopping him from being champion. And that is his legacy.
Well, what I'm saying to you, Max, is that you're going a bit deep, but you're saying the same thing that everybody else is saying. When we talk about how the decision-making of Russell Westbrook is an impediment to his success, you're saying as to why that is and what the residue from it is and what have you. What we're saying is that's the bottom line. They're going to be saying these things about him. Once upon a time, as recently as a year ago, considering the last 3 years he's averaged a triple-double, we were having discussions about where Russell Westbrook belongs in terms of the best players in the game, top 5 player in the game, who would you want to start your franchise with, et cetera, et cetera.